नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 21, beginning from verse number 12. This is a story of King Rantidev, and we read that he was very generous, very forbearing and compassionate, and once for 48 days he did not eat or drink anything, and then when he got the food, then these different people came and he gave everything to them. Finally only some water was remaining, and one Chandala came for that also. So that's what is read, that Tasyatam karunam vacham nishamya vipulashramam kripya bhisha santapta idamaha amritam vacha. So he was very much troubled by the speech of this person who could hardly speak, because he was so hungry and thirsty for water. So Rantidev was very much pained by hearing his words, and then he spoke the following Amrit Vachaha, nectarian words. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says that this Amrit Vacha means that anyone who hears this will become Amritam. So Amritam Vacha iti tasya kevalam vacho yena sasraddham karnabhyam piyate so api na mriyate. One who hears this with faith, even that person becomes immortal. Tena dehenaiva siddhyati ki punastat karmanu tishthasha. So this is achieved simply by the body, but what to speak if one actually follows what he is saying. And this is what he said. Na kamyeham gatim ishwarat paramashtarthi yuktavam apunarbhavam va artim prapadye khila deha bhajam mantasthito yena bhavantya dukkhaha. He said that I do not desire any result in the form of 8 types of perfections, Ashtariddhi, and not even liberation. But what I want is arti, or the suffering of the people. That akhila deha bhajam antasthito yena bhavantya dukkha. That I wish that I get the possibility to sit in people's heart, and whatever suffering they go through, I will take it, so that they remain free from any suffering. So this is a very noble thought. As they say that Vaishnava is par dukkha dukhi, but he is not par dukkha dukhi, he is beyond that. Par dukkha dukhi means that you feel troubled by seeing others troubled, but he is not saying that. He is saying that I want to make them free from trouble and take their trouble. So that is his wish. He says, I do not desire anything else.
Babaji,
Haan,
I have a question. Since his Viyat Vritti and other appears to be on the path of Jnana Marga,
why Gyan Marga?
all the Vairagya is shown that, so much renunciations.
No, but
That's
he recently read what is Prapatti.
Yes.
So Prapatti is not Vairagya. Earlier the statement K Sampansham Harim Sarvatra, remember that he said that Harim Sarvatra Sampansham. He is seeing Hari in everybody.
But isn't the Jnani also sees Paramatma in everyone?
Jnani thinks he is Brahman.
But he sees Brahman everywhere though.
Well, Brahman is only one. So he is. How can you be compassionate when you yourself are Brahman and another is also Brahman? To be compassionate there should be two. For Jnani there is none.
So is this behavior or this, is it encouraging for devotees to follow that Vyat Vritti or see the Lord in everyone's heart?
Vyat Vritti you cannot follow. So don't even encourage anybody. Who will follow it? If you don't get one meal, you have a problem.
I thought this is part of Prapatti though.
Yeah, but that is the Vyat Vritti. Vyat Vritti is like that. You see, Prapatti is of different types. So one type of Prapatti is that you just depend on Krishna for everything. I gave the example just like a cow. The Jiva Goswami also gives this example when he explains Sharanagati. So he gives this example. Yathakrita Pashuhu. Just like an animal which has been purchased. So if you purchase an animal, means a cow from somebody, then that cow becomes yours and that cow is dependent on you for its maintenance. Cow does nothing to maintain itself. So if you give water to drink, she drinks. If you don't give, she will just stand there. Because she is dependent. So this is type of Prapatti. Jiva Goswami of course goes into more variety. He says some people they surrender one hand only. So that hand they will use only for Krishna. They will not do anything for themselves with that hand. So that is Prapatti of one part of their body. So depends. So I mean Gyan Marg can also do that, but here it is described. He is being described as a devotee. And it becomes clear later on also when Krishna, this Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, they appear, then he asks for this. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhaktya Chakre Manah Param. That he only wanted his mind to be fixed on Vasudeva through bhakti. Nothing else.
I mean, maybe it'll come up further in the discussion, but I was just wondering, when he's desiring this, how is this integrated into his idea of how he's serving or pleasing the Lord?
Giving, yeah, we already said this is what Jiva Goswami was describing. And earlier it came, he's seeing Hari in everybody. So as Krishna says that those people who are doing this tamsik tapasya, they are also troubling me, sitting inside. In Bhagavad Gita he says this. Right? So he's Name Ruchi Jevardaya Sun Sanatan. Here आगे धर्म नहीं. So to be compassionate on other beings. There is actually a sloka in Sanskrit also. Asu Krishna Prasidati. That if you are compassionate on others and don't trouble anybody, then Krishna is very quickly pleased with that. So ultimately the thing is that what is your vision? So how is that go service, doing service to cow is bhakti? Why? Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay. Well, if we understand Krishna Nushilanam means action for Krishna or what is dear or belongs to Krishna, then one understands that the cow belongs to and is dear to Krishna. For this
So cow is dear, but other people are not dear to him. Suhridasam Sarvabhutanam. I am the Suhrida of everybody. Suhrida means dear friend. Right? Why is he entered everybody's heart? Sarvasachaham Hridi Sannivastami. Would you like to enter into heart of somebody who is your enemy? Or somebody whom you like? So you should know why doing service to Tulsi is bhakti and giving water to a mango plant will not be bhakti. It is all in relationship to Krishna. Now so many people are having cows, but they are not doing it as devotion. They do it because they want milk and whatever else. You think they are doing bhakti? No. So if cow is dear to Krishna, then they should be also doing bhakti. Or there are people here in Braj, they actually do farming of tulsi. They make tulsi crop, then they cut it, then because it sells to make tulsi, japmala and kanthi mala. So what they are doing, will it be counted as bhakti because they give water to tulsi? So it is not just doing that. Of course, there is one type of bhakti which Jiva Goswami calls as Siddha Swarupa Bhakti, but from your point of view, it is bhakti only when you have that Anukulyane Krishnanushilanam. So that Anukulyane Krishnanushilanam is not only for cow and tulsi, it is for everything. If you take care of the plants thinking that they are Krishna's plants, they will be used in Krishna's service, then it becomes bhakti. But if you are growing tulsis because you want to make money out of it, then it is not bhakti. Or you have cows because you want to sell milk and make money, then that is not bhakti. So what is bhakti is dependent on what is your intention. If you are doing anukulya, then it is bhakti. And that anukulya is not limited only to these things. This is said because it for people in general it is easy to understand that it is bhakti. It will be difficult to understand that bhakti can also be taking care of a goat. But actually Krishna also had goats and he also had buffaloes. Aja Mahishyo Gavasya Nirvisante Vanadvanam. In 10th canto it is mentioned that Krishna was having Aja, goats, Mahishya, buffaloes, cows, and going from one forest to another forest. So now no one says that if you do service to a buffalo, it will be bhakti. Right? Because he is only called Gopal, not Mahishpal. Mahishpal or Ajapal. But he had. So he is taking care of them also.
So in this case of Ramtidev, here he is applying that in a completely universal level.
Sarvabhutesu yapashyat bhagavad bhavam atmane bhutani bhagavati atmani esha bhagavatottama. So now this says that he is the Uttam Bhagavata who sees his own bhava in everybody. So own bhava has different meaning, but you get the point. So it says Sarva Bhuteshu. It does not say only cows and tulsi. Because as it is said, Archayam eva Hariye श्रद्धया पूजां करोति है, right? न च तदन्येषु भक्तेषु स भक्त प्राकृत स्मृता. One who sees that Krishna is only in the deity but not in others. So others, he did not say that others is only devotees or only cows or tulsi. Others, na cha anyeshu. Of course, says na cha anyeshu bhaktesu. But he says bhaktesu. But ultimately in everybody. Before that, it was said sarvabhutesu.
I'm not sure I completely understand your reply. So the question was how Rantideva's actions are bhakti, and what I understood is that bhakti has these two parts, the bhava and the activity, the cheshta rupa, and the bhava rupa is he sees Hari everywhere, and now the cheshta rupa is that he gives everything that he has to everyone who comes and begs from him? Or is there something else that he's doing, like mantra meditation or?
No, it may be doing, but the question is about this particular action. Whether he's doing mantra meditation or not mantra meditation. Question was, why is this bhakti?
Okay.
Mantra meditation, everybody understands that is bhakti. There is no question about that. If you are doing kirtan, that is understood. But why is that being compassionate on other living beings is bhakti? This is the question.
And then the answer is clear.
In that moment when he was still king, and he had this same interpretation of his reality, why couldn't he interpret or connect his own position and his intelligence and his being as part of that which, because later on everything that comes to him he accepts as an opportunity of service, and why not something that comes from himself and just something that comes from outside? Can you understand my question?
Himself means what?
Like, it seems like, because he could have remained in the position of a king and having the same, and like ruling as a king, using his abilities and his power and his position for doing service.
Yeah, but that's what I am trying to explain. You see, we only think bhakti in one way, and then that's the only thing we think is bhakti. We think bhakti means that you chant Hare Krishna and you do deity worship and be with devotees, live in ashram. For us, this is only bhakti, and anything else is not bhakti, because this is what we have practiced and this is what we have heard. But bhakti is of various types and various levels, and this is what Bhagavatam is describing. So I was saying that there is one type of bhakti which is called prapatti. So prapatti means to surrender. It means that you surrender yourself. Anukulyasa sankalpa pratikulyasa varjanam rakshishyati iti vishvaso goptritva varnam tatha. So the key point of this Sharanagati is Goptritva Varnam Tatha, to accept Krishna as your protector. So as I said that in Prapatti also there are various types. Of course, Anukulyasa Sankalpa, you do everything favorable means you do. But there is one type of Prapatti where you don't do anything. That's why it is called Vyadvritti. Vyadvritti means just living under the sky. And if something falls from the sky, you take. If it doesn't fall, you remain the way you are. It's not easy, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do this. So this is also a type of bhakti. So there is no question of saying why he is not doing this, why he is not doing that. He will ask the same thing to you, why you are not doing what he is doing. The question here is not why he is not doing this type of bhakti, but trying to understand what type of bhakti is he doing.
Okay, so is it the type of bhakti that someone leans towards, is that like in his nature, or is it coming in the process of his, you know, development towards bhakti?
Process of development.
How can I phrase the question? No, is this something that he makes a decision for, or is this like
He makes a decision that this is it's like you have made a decision to follow this type of bhakti. If you go to another sampradaya, they have another type of bhakti. South India, other sampradaya, they have different type of bhakti, and for them this doesn't look like bhakti. This is more like a show to them. In fact, they will say that you are not even qualified for bhakti. What you are qualified is for prapatti. If you are not part of varnashrama, then you are not qualified for bhakti. They make two divisions, bhakti and prapatti. And bhakti is only for those who are part of varnashrama. And prapatti is for everybody. So if in their definition of bhakti, you don't have qualification to be a bhakta. So they will disqualify you. If you say I am a bhakta, they will say, what? How is that possible? It's not possible for you.
I think what I'm struggling with is that on the one side we say there are all these different ways of practice, or experiencing or being that bhakti, and on the other hand it seems to be that he's limited to this way of expressing it.
So what is, everybody is limited to their way of expressing. That's exactly what I am saying. That different sampradaya have their different way of following it, and they are limited to that only. So why do you think that he is the only one like that?
I have to think about that.
Yeah, there are different varieties of bhakti, and whichever variety you are following, you are limited to that, because that's what you follow, because that's where your shraddha is. So as Vishwanath Chakravarti was saying, that if you hear this with shraddha, then you will also become amrita. Yena sashraddham karnabhyam piyate sopi na mriyate. He doesn't die. So it depends on where you have your shraddha, and then you follow that. So whether you call it limitation or particular path, it's all because of the shraddha. It is shraddha which limits you to that particular path.
So I can accept that as long as you're like in your sadhana stage and practicing, but once you have reached that level of seeing Krishna everywhere, and then doesn't that like this limitation stop?
No. Although they say that all roads lead to Rome, but they don't lead to the same place. They come from different directions and they enter into different parts of Rome. Although it is Rome only, but one side of Rome is not same as the other side. So it looks like that. And this is about Rome. What to speak of Krishna? He is unlimited. He has got so many sides to him. At least Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and in Bhagavan so much variety. Aishwarya, Madhurya. And then in that there are further different bhavas. So don't think that somebody who is following Dasya Bhava is going to end up, once he becomes perfect, he will also end up where the Vatsalya Bhava is ending. No. That distinction continues. Because the perfection is on the sadhana. whatever you sadhana do. How will you be satisfied with something else? You will be satisfied only for which you are doing your sadhana. So you will get that.
Babaji, can I ask a question? There's one thing that is not very clear to me. So this Prabhati and Rantideva was in the position of a king, so he had numerous, let's say, responsibilities and duties. So how could he manage to, execute his royal duties, considering his position?
And that's why I already said that he was not doing any royal duties. His brother took over, and he was. If there is in your country you have president or prime minister?
Both.
Okay, so if somebody is a president, your country is president, then if he has a brother, then he also call himself as president. They don't say I'm president's brother. In fact, people call he is president or treat him like that. So Rantidev is king's brother. He's son of a king, and his brother is a king. His elder brother is Guru. Right? His elder brother's name is Guru. So he's king like that. He's not performing, because this, how can you do king's duty with this mood? If you are going to see Hari everywhere, how are you going to punish the criminal? It is not possible. And then you are living with Akash Vritti or Vyed Vritti. This is not possible. You will be dysfunctional. That's why Krishna is telling to Arjuna to fight. He also wanted to go and live in Akash Vritti. Bhakshamapi chehya loke, right? He said, I will live by begging. So he says no. So you cannot do that. So even in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says this, that Sharanagati and then Maitri, he says they are difficult. Right? He says that. And we really don't understand how is it difficult. We think it's so easy. No, we think that it is easy because we don't understand it. It's very difficult. He himself says that only some rare persons do that. Not everybody can do it. So here is one example of that. There are not too many examples of this. So Bhagavatam is showing some example of it.
Since I have the mic, sorry. Is there a description of what led him to this mood?
No, there is no description. He must have met another one like him. Comes by Sangha.
I'm just trying to clarify if I understand. So, going from the Anukulina principle of Rachamana Pravritti, that whatever is done for Krishna or what is in connection with Krishna is of the objective of satisfying them. So in this context, going back to the Krama Sundara from yesterday, he's seeing that everything belongs to the Lord. He's seeing that there is that phrase, Parama Karuni Kata, that he understands that the Lord has this ultimate compassion for everyone. So he's seeing everything as an object of the Lord's compassion, and then it said, Tad bhavena sprishyamana. He's touched by that bhav of the Lord's compassion, and thus he's showing compassion to the people. So now he's praying to be in their heart and take their suffering, so as to fulfill this desire or this sentiment that the Lord has towards those people. And in that way his objective is fulfilling the Lord's desire or pleasing the Lord by doing this interaction among the people in the world.
Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify if I understand.
So bhakti, as Vilas was mentioning, that it is Chesta Rupa and Bhava Rupa. So ultimate thing is the Bhava Rupa. First we have Chesta so that we can get the Bhav. And once we have the Bhav, then Chesta comes from the Bhav. Because whatever is your mood, like I was saying that you have Shraddha, and because of the Shraddha you do something. So that Shraddha itself, when it becomes mature, that becomes Bhav. Because when you have Shraddha, then you can have ups and downs, and obstacles can disturb your mind, all these things. You have your samskaras which can overpower. But when you come to the level of Bhava, then that is your existence. Bhava also means existence. So now there is nothing which can deter you, deviate you, trouble you. And then on the basis of Bhav you act. So whatever is your Bhav, Bhav is of so much different varieties. There is no limit to it. Although Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they have tried to categorize them into 5 types or 12 types or whatever, but actually there is no limit. Everybody, Krishna has so many associates, everybody has their unique bhav. It is for our understanding we group them, but among that also everybody is unique. And it is that bhav which makes them act. So that is the bhakti. That's why it is called bhav bhakti. And then how bhava manifests, then you call it prema later on. But it is actually the bhav is the stable thing. That's why it is called sthai bhav. And then in that bhav there are waves up and down, but it goes around the mean line. It never goes away from that. So bhav is also compared like a sindhu. That's why he calls it Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's like an ocean, and in that there are waves. But still, ocean does not disappear. Waves can come and go, but ocean remains ocean. So that is the sthai bhav. And then sthai bhav becomes tarangayita, waves. And those are the chestas, then actions which spring from that. So this is his bhav. He is not going around and preaching or teaching or ringing bell somewhere or anything like that. He just, this is his bhav, that's all. So
Babaji,
Maro bhi rakho vi jai ichha tuhar. That is Prapatti. Yes.
so Babaji, say you are doing Tulsi Puja or your Japa or your Aarti, and you are doing it mechanically, but you do it because you know it's good for you. Does that mean that you have Shraddha, and is this Bhakti?
Yes. Otherwise, why would you do it? Shraddha you have, that's why I think it is good for you. Otherwise, why would you think this crazy type of thing, sitting down and just moving the mala? So, without Shraddha, why would you do it without Shraddha? Tell me. So therefore that is called sadhana bhakti. So indriya vyapar. Okay, anything else on this? So this is a difficult thing, this prapatti, which is, you can understand how difficult it is. Because he is not becoming upset when he is giving this food to them, and he was not upset when he did not get it. So that is his bhav. He is just dependent on Krishna. Well, he doesn't want to give, that's fine. And when somebody comes to ask for it, then he thinks this is Krishna is coming. That's why he was bowing down not only to the master of the dog's owner, but also to the dog. Swashwapate. Tatha, right? To both. So, he is seeing Pandita Samdarshina. Namaschakra swabhya swapatiya vibhu. And that's why he does not desire anything. Because all this desire of, as you said, Ashtariddhi or Mukti does not fit in his mood. So why would you desire that? Your desires are also according to your mood, right? If you are a vegan, then you don't desire paneer, cheese, right? Because it doesn't fit in your mood. So therefore he does not desire any of these things. What will he do with it? He will say, well, he can use it in the service of people, right? But that's not his mood. He is not in that. That is the meaning of Vyad Vritti. If he desires, then it will become city vritti or village vritti. But he is not. He is not going and doing madhukari also. So those who are doing madhukari, they are also expecting will get. He is not doing that. So you can be prapatta, you can be a saranagata, and you can do madhukari. That is another level of saranagati or prapatti. This is another level. And then whatever you get in your bhiksha, in your madhukari, then you accept that, otherwise no. So he is a different type. So praptam bhajan muni. Bhagavatam, Krishna says to Uddhava that whatever is praptam, whatever comes, take, that's all. Okay. So let's see what he is commenting on this. Antaha sthita san artim prapaddi. So he desires that he becomes situated inside every living being, because everyone is suffering, and accept their suffering. So Kunti Devi was asking for Vipdasantu na Saswat, Tatra Jagat Guru. He is not asking for himself, he wants to take of others, everybody. A different mood. Her mood is different, his mood is different. So Tair Bhoktavyam Dukkham Ahameva Bhunjaya. So the suffering which they have to experience, he says, I will experience it for them. Like they say, well, give your karma to me. So the pandas here in Vrindavan, there are pandas, they are called Tirth Panda, the Brahmins. So when people come from outside, especially from Bengal, Assam, Manipur, So that they have more faith. So they have their Tirth Panda. This was a designed thing, that there are families here, there are Pandas. Similarly, if you go to Jagannath Puri, there are Pandas there. If you go to Haridwar, Banaras, it's the custom. So they have their areas allocated. That this village is mine, this village is his. So anybody coming from that area, then they will go to him. And he is the one who will take care of them. He will take them to Yamuna, make them do puja there. So they say that whatever sin you have, you put it in my feet. And give me 51 rupees. I mean, olden days, now probably 501 now. So they take this, everybody's sin. But they want also little dakshina for that. And people, they believe in it. So they do that. If you go to Mathura, there are Pandas also. Purushottam Prabhu, you also had, your father had one Panda there. What is his name? I also met him once. Damodar.
Damodar Das.
Yeah, I met him also once with your father. So people coming from Gujarat, Vallabh Sampradaya, they have their Pandas because their main place is Mathura, Vishram Ghat. So everywhere you will find. If you go to Gokul, there are Pandas there. If you go to Nandagam, Pandas, Banaras, Barsana. So these Pandas, this is how they live. So they take your karma. And then you are free. Karma free. So Rantidev wants to make everybody as karma free. This is his wish. And he does not want any dakshina or anything for that. So he says that Tair bhoktavyam dukkham ahameva bhunjaya. That whatever is the suffering they have to go, only I will, ahameva, not that I share with you. Ahameva means only I, and you become completely free, not 50-50 or something like that. Sarva jivanam api samuditam dukkham aham eka eva bhoktum alamiti. So he says that I am capable of experiencing the suffering of all the living beings. So you give all that to me. Tad dukkham sahyam par dukh darshanam tu asahyam iti bhava. This is a very nice point he makes. He says that suffering which I take from the living beings, that is tolerable to me. I can tolerate that. I can tolerate the suffering of all living beings. But what I cannot tolerate is seeing them suffering. See, it's a very amazing mood. I cannot tolerate that they are suffering. I can tolerate if I suffer for them. So therefore give it to me. So chutrit shamo gatra parishramascha danyam klama shoka vishada mohaha sarve nivritta kripnascha jantor jijivishor jiva jalarpanat me. So now he says that jijivishor jiva jalarpanat me sarve nivritta. Says that by giving this water to this Chandala who was trying to save his life, Jijivisha means wanted to live. So by giving him water and to protect his life, that Kripana, that pitiable person, he says all these problems for me have gone. My hunger, my thirst, my fatigue and labor of the body and danyam and klama, tiredness, shoka, vishada, moha, any grief, lamentation, bewilderment. He says, all these things have left me. So, in other words, that by giving this water to him and seeing him happy, he is so happy. So, this is what bhakti is. Because Krishna Anusilanam is Krishna and Krishnasya Anusilanam. Krishna Anusilanam includes also things, objects, people which belong to Krishna. So he says that by seeing this person drink water and get relief from his thirst, my thirst is gone. Why? Because he is seeing Krishna everywhere. So tushyanti sarvajantava. So when Krishna is satisfied, then he is satisfied. So yatha taror moola nisechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashakha. So this is how at least he is feeling for himself, that he is feeling satisfied. So therefore he is not just being compassionate on him, but seeing him in relationship with Krishna. That's what is the difference between normal compassion and the compassion of a devotee. And therefore the outcome is different. In normal compassion, person feels also happy by doing it, but he feels happy because of it's a boost to his ego. And he gets some praise, people say he's a nice man. So that location is there, to be known in the society, to be recognized, that feeling of recognition, it is also very deep inside. So that's the material compassion has that element of location in it. So yakshe, what is that? Yakshe dashyami modishye ko asti sadrisho maya. I will do yagya, I will give charity, right? Who is like me? So that feeling is there, sometimes explicit, sometimes implicit. So this cannot come here, because that is the difference between normal compassion and compassion as an attribute of bhakti. So therefore he says that all these things have left him. So nanu iti pipashartosi kinchid avsishtam jalam swayam cha pibet itya. So if someone says, well, you were very thirsty also, so maybe little bit of water was remaining, you should have drank that. So he says, no, I don't have the need to drink. I am satisfied. So chutrat samogatra parishravas कृपणस्य अस्य जंतोर जीवन हेतोर जलस्य अर्पणान मम क्षुत्रदादयो निवृत्ताय. Says, by giving water to this person who was suffering, my hunger, thirst, etc. have disappeared and I am fully satisfied. So this also shows how bhakti brings satisfaction to the heart. That is the natural characteristic of bhakti. It is not that you do bhakti and then on the weekend you have to go for some recreational or vacation somewhere. No, bhakti does not require that. Because bhakti itself is so satisfying that no vacation or recreational activity will give you that satisfaction. So although this is an extreme case, he is completely emaciated, fasting for 48 days, but he is feeling happy and blissful. Why? Because of bhakti. So iti prabhasya paniyam mriyamanah pipashaya pulkasaya dadadhiro nisarga karno nripaha. So that king, after speaking these slokas, then he gave water to this Pulkasha, this Pulkasha man, who was about to die because of the thirst, Mriyamana. And there are two words which are used for him. One is Dhira, another is Nisarga Karuna. So he is very forbearing, very tolerant. So Tarori Vasahishnana, and he is Nisarga Karuna. He is naturally compassionate. So this compassion is not because of some training or because he has learned it in some class or lecture, that it is good to be compassionate. It is just natural for him, just like you breathe naturally. You don't need training for that. It happens naturally, automatically. So he is Nisarga Karuna. So that is his characteristic. There was one great poet, Magh, who wrote this famous play, Shishupal Vada. So he was very compassionate. Of course, I am not sure if his compassion was comparable to this. So anybody who came to his house, he will give whatever they want. And his wife was very much troubled by that. Because sometimes there was nothing to eat. So when there was nothing, there was no food. So he wrote a sloka and he sent his wife that you go and take it to the king. In the olden days, kings used to reward if somebody came up with a nice book or sloka or something, and a new one. So she got some money, but on the way, or actually he himself went. And he said, you wait, I will come and give you what you want. So he went, and he went to the king and he gave him a sloka and he got the money or donation, whatever. But on the way, somebody else asked for it and he gave it. So now when he came, he was empty and he felt so ashamed that he left his body. He died. So he is a very famous Maghe Santi Trayoguna, Upma Kalidasya. Bharver Arth Gauravam, Dandine Padlalityam Maghe Santi Trayoguna. So Kalidas is known for his simile. If you read Kalidas, he's very beautiful. Every sloka he throws similes left and right. So good at it. And Bharver Artha Gauravam, Bharvi, deep depth of meaning. And Dandi, his famous book is Dasarupakam, is Padalalitya, the beauty of the words. And Magha, he says, has all three qualities. Maghe Santi Trayoguna. So therefore is described here as Nisarga Karuna, naturally. So Jiva Goswami comments on this also, this Nisarga Karuna, because it's related with the previous point he made. So he says Nisarga Karuna iti cha Nisargena Sri Bhagavad Karuna Sfurti Maya Svabhavena Karuna. So this is important point. Otherwise people think that he is naturally compassionate like other people. So this is a very minute study of the book. How they actually see everything so consistently. This is called consistency. Samanvaya. So says that Nisarga Karuna here means Nisargene. So Nisarga means natural, but he brings another meaning of Nisarga here. So what is most natural is what Krishna has Karuna. That is the most natural Karuna. Because human beings Karuna, even if it is natural, it will flicker, it will change, because gunas. If somebody is in an angry mood and you go and ask him something, then he will say, you come at the wrong time. Right? So, Sri Bhagavat Karuna Spurti Maya Svabhavena. So, this Karuna Maya is because of the nature of Bhagavan Karuna. So, this is not material Karuna, but spiritual, or coming from Krishna or coming from Bhakti, whichever way you want to see. So, that is the meaning of Nisarga here. Okay. Yes.
You want to say something? When it says Spurti Moy, that means the quality of Bhagavan's Karuna is appearing within his awareness and
It's
inspiring
manifesting
him.
in his heart. That's what is inspiring him. Okay, we'll
Babaji, you mentioned that bhakti brings satisfaction to the heart. So, why is it that one continues to do bhakti? If, say, you've done bhakti, it's given you satisfaction, why doesn't the person stop there? Because materially, I'm thinking that that should give you satisfaction, and now it's done and complete. If you can.
So if I ask you that business brings money, right? So you do business
Yes.
and money comes, and then you say, why are you still doing business? Now the money has come. So after 1 year, when you had already profit, you stop it. So no, if you get profit, you want to expand it. So this satisfaction, they are not doing it for satisfaction. It gives satisfaction as a side effect. But that is not the prayojana. In case of business, you do business because you want money, and then you want more money and more money. So people do bhakti not because they will get satisfaction out of it. They do bhakti because they want to give satisfaction to Krishna. They want to please him. And when you want to please him, please somebody, it does not mean that you please him once and then it's okay, now I go somewhere else. So what are you going to do now? So you continue pleasing. And then your satisfaction comes as a byproduct of that. So therefore they continue getting it. They are not wanting it. It comes.
So, this compassion that he has manifested in his heart, it came there because of his desire to...
No, it is not desire, that's what I am saying.
It's
That is the meaning of natural. If it coming from desire, then it is not natural. Then desire goes away, then it is not there.
And another thing about having the power to neutralize or not being able to go through all the suffering, all the karma of the people. So then he desired, no, that to...
Yeah, that is because of this compassion. That is an outcome of the compassion.
But then in this case, is Krishna who is taking care about all that. It's
All what?
Hmm?
All that means what?
All that means that to release, to give relief to the suffering people.
Well, this is not happening. He desires it. Doesn't mean that it happened.
Because, for example, Jesus, he has the same idea.
It doesn't happen that way.
Mm.
Okay. So many people have the same idea. Mukunda Datta was also
Yeah,
had.
I was just going to ask about this.
So he also had that.
I wanted to ask, so it seems like Lord Chaitanya was not totally agreeing when Mukunda Datta had this desire, and so I wanted to know, one thing how he feels about it, and the other thing, is it even possible for any human being to do something like that, to take karma of others?
No, it is possible. Obviously, this is not some ordinary human being. They are devotees, and Krishna can fulfill their desire.
But he didn't really want to.
He doesn't want to do it because then, what is the point of having this creation? Then Krishna can close the show and not have this Bahiranga Shakti at all. Because that's what it means. That means you turn this also into Vaikuntha. So he wants every living entity to earn it for himself or herself, and not that somebody else is doing it.
And these pandas, it's just show.
Just a business. People like, just like in Christianity, they are selling tickets for heaven. So people are clever.
So then,
Dharmasya na apvargasya artho arthahi kalpate. Bhagavatam says that dharma is not meant for making money. So why is it saying it? Because there must be people who are doing it. If nobody is making money out of dharma, why he has to say it?
so just coming back to the question, so that means that if so to be aligned with the most, let's say, pleasurable service that we can offer to the Lord is, to be in His most dear desire to fulfill, is not that focusing on removing the one by one all the suffering of all the people, but just because this is His wish also. And so if somebody desires to remove the suffering of every
Yeah, because you have to think, okay, remove the suffering. As they say,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ has taken everybody's sin.
Exactly.
So has he taken it?
Not really. Because
But this is what
somebody else is coming.
this is what Christians believe.
Yeah.
So those people who become Christian and they accept Jesus, you think they become free from karma?
No.
But they believe like that. And that's why they are all the time trying to convert others. Because you people are going to hell. If you don't surrender to Jesus, you are doomed. Whenever the doomsday will come, of course, that's long away. Till then, you're still safe.
Babaji,
Hmm.
Babaji, like you said that for Ranti Dev, it was all natural, whatever feelings he had, and giving off the last sip of water which could have saved his life after 48 days. So, and you said that this is an effect of the bhakti he had within him, and it was natural for him. But for a sadhaka, I think it's not natural. That's why a person is a sadhak, because this thing is not natural to him.
Yeah, so don't feel bad.
So my point was that will this sadhana make it natural at some point of time?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell all the time, that there are different types of bhakti and this is not your path. So don't worry about it. There are various types of bhakti and I'm explaining it that this bhakti which is being described here is called prapatti or sharanagati. And it is a very specific type of sharanagati. We are also sharanagatas. When we take diksha, we also surrender. But our surrender is of different type. It is what you call active surrender, this is passive surrender. And this passive surrender is not our path.
Right. I think would this come in this Bhakti Sandarbha because
Yes, Bhakti
this thing-
Sandarbha will describe 360 types of bhaktis. Don't worry. Your mind will run in all directions. Jiva Goswami will explain Kevala Kama and what is that, Bhakti Kama and Niskama and all types of bhaktis. And Gyan Mishra and Karm Mishra and so many varieties he will bring. So this one will also come there.
So the story of Rantidev culminates in that moment when this man comes asking for this last glass of water they have after 48 days of fasting. And Shastra, even to make a point, they make it always very extreme.
Yes.
So why wasn't, and they describe this man as dying. Shouldn't he have been like a truck driver with a truck with a tank full of water asking for this? No, I'm serious. Why is he not, why is he described as dying? Because then you can give this reason, okay, he was dying. Okay, so this is the reason why he gave him the water. If he had been, if he had been anything else than dying, then then maybe he would have taken a different decision.
Because if he's not dying and maybe he doesn't need it. But if he was not dying and he was thirsty, he will still give him. He will not say no. The other people who came, they were only hungry, they were not dying. But he gave to them also. He gave them something even more. He gave his halwa and puri and everything.
But this leaves a gap for interpretation, that to say that it's actually up to him how he because first I thought whoever is coming to him and whatever this person is asking for, no matter what, he will always interpret it as Krishna sending that person and asking the question and giving as a result. But if you say, because he's dying.
He is not saying because. Where did he say because he's dying? He's only saying that he was dying. He did not say because he's dying. That's why he's giving. And did I say that?
No, but this is how you can interpret when you read the story.
Yeah, but why are you interpreting it? You read the sloka. He's only saying Jijivisha or Mriyamana, that he was on the verge of death. He did not say because he was on the verge of death. That's why he gave him. Then you can interpret that he would not have given if he was not dying. It's just explaining the extreme situation. And because of that extreme situation, he speaks this sloka. Because he sees this person so much suffering. If he was a normal person, he's thirsty, he would give him, but then he would not see him that he's suffering like that. So when he saw him so much suffering that he could hardly speak, so then he feels even more that I would like to take his suffering. Not only his suffering, but everybody's suffering. So that's why it's said. Okay. All right.